guys, Adam here.
Steven here.
Today we're basically just going to go through the do's and don'ts of bulking, and I'm going to give you guys a guide on what to do and what not to do. So let's get into it. But what is bulking? Bulking is eating in a calorie surplus in order to gain mass. Why do we eat in a calorie surplus? Because in order to gain as much weight as possible, we need more fuel for our body. Therefore, extra calories means extra fuel, which gives our body more energy in order to aid in the recovery process of building muscle. However, before we get into the guides, we need to assess whether you actually need to bulk or not. I'm going to put it simply. If you are overweight, don't bulk. If you're skinny and want to put on mass quickly, a bulk is probably the best option. And if you're finding that your progress is slow, or you're not gaining as much weight as you want to, bulking would be a good option for intermediate lifters. Now that we've assessed if you need to bulk or not, let's jump into the first part of the guide, which is how to find your maintenance calories, and therefore using that, be able to find how many calories you need to eat in order to bulk up. Everybody is going to have different calories that they need to eat to gain weight, because everybody has a different body composition and everybody's different, as in most people weigh different from other people, most people are taller or shorter than other people. It's an incredibly personalized thing. Now, to find your maintenance calories, all you need to do is go over to a website such as calculator.net and then navigate yourself to the fitness tab, where you can put your height, weight and activity level, and then it will gauge kind of the roundabout amount of calories that you need to consume in order to maintain your weight. For most people, that number is pretty accurate and you can probably just use that. But if you want to be more precise, use that number that you've got on there and play around with the amount of calories that you eat. So what I did was I used that number as a baseline and then kind of played around with the amount of calories, looked at my scale weight, saw if I was going up or down, and then kind of based it around there. So I found the amount of calories that I need to consume daily to maintain my weight, and then I either take away an amount of calories or add an amount of calories depending on what I'm doing. Obviously in this case you'll be bulking, and what I recommend is to go either 200 to 300 above, so you can gain a steady amount of weight without gaining too much body fat. It is a long process, but you'll thank yourself in the future for finding it, because it will just be so much easier all around in order to track everything and just make everything as easy as possible.
Now we've figured out our maintenance calories, let's get on to how we distribute those calories based on your macro and micronutrient needs. In terms of protein, 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight is more than enough for muscle repair. Don't be afraid of carbs. Carbs are your best friend during a bulk. It gives you so much more energy, and during your sleep, that's when your testosterone is produced. So if you're low on carbs, you won't produce as much testosterone as you can. Therefore, it will hinder your ability to build as much muscle as possible. Fats, don't go overboard with fats. They're not bad for you. Like, still have them in moderation, but don't go too far with the fats, otherwise you're going to look like Jay Cutler when he was on his prime bulk. Okay, so I just like to go over 4 common mistakes that I see happening a lot when people start bulking for the first time. First mistake I see is people eating way too much and basically just getting fat. Like, they're gaining muscle still, but they're getting way too fat, gaining way too much body fat, and it's really hindering their progress. Because the thing is with dirty bulking, you will gain mass. Like, it's true, you will gain mass. Like, it's not completely pointless. But the fact is, you're gaining so much body fat that during the cut, you're gonna have to cut extremely slowly in order to even see the amount of muscle that you've gained. Because if you do an aggressive cut after a dirty bulk, you may even just be in the same place as you started before, or gain half the amount of muscle that you actually gained on the bulk. Another one is not doing cardio. Like, you still have to do cardio on the bulk 100%, but you still got to keep yourself healthy. Like, I never understand why people don't do cardio on their bulks. Like, cardio isn't just for burning calories, it's for your cardiovascular health. Like, if you're gaining weight, you're gaining more fat, then you've got to make sure that your cardiovascular system is in the right space. Recovery is the most important thing when it comes to bulking. If anything, the recovery process is more important than your training. Because if you're training amazing, right? If you're training at the most optimal as possible, you're eating the right foods and everything, but your sleep and your rest days aren't in there, your progress is not going to be as much as it should be. Like, you're going to progress much slower than the potential is. However, food is only half the battle. Your training is an integral part of this. If you're not training for growth, then you're not going to be gaining muscle. So the main things to do with your training is to hit each muscle 2 times per week, 2 to 3 times. If you can do 3 times, that's amazing. But for most people, that won't be achievable because you have to do like full body every other day, or go to the gym 6 times a week and upper lower, and it's just going to be very tiring. But if you're hitting the muscle 2 times per week, if you're doing upper lower 4 times a week, push pull legs, whatever split you want, right? As long as you're hitting the muscle 2 times per week, you're doing amazing. Prioritize progressive overload. Ideally, you'll be adding weight or reps every other session. I try to, no matter if I'm on a bulk or not, I try to go a little bit heavier each session or get 1 more rep in the last week, just to make sure I'm pushing myself to my limits, right? And obviously, try and do the most optimal exercises as possible. You don't want to be doing stuff like dumbbell kickbacks, obviously, like it's the most pointless exercise ever, it's so bad. Or like, I don't even know, you see that type of stuff that Phil Heath is doing. I'll put a clip out now with the plate like this. That's not doing anything. Like, I don't know why he's trying to spread that. The most important part of all of this is tracking your progress every week. Every week, you'll go on the scale, you'll see how much you've gained, you'll look in the mirror, you'll be able to see. Like, you might be a bit more bloated than usual, which will make it look like you've got higher body fat, but most of the time it's just bloat. And you can counteract that. But make sure you're drinking a lot of water, because you don't want water retention. You don't want to look awful. However, this bulking can be difficult for some people. Say you have very low appetite or are on medication that makes your appetite go from here to here. I would recommend foods such as nuts. Reese's cups are good. They're so high in calories. Like, it's not great for you, but if you need to get the calories in, get them in that way. Just calorie dense food in general is going to be your best friend if you have low appetite. Also, liquid calories, like drinking stuff like mass gainers, making smoothies yourself at home with peanut butter, milk, lots of that stuff. You'll pack on size quite easily if you just eat as much as possible, and also eat calorie dense foods and drink drinks that are like high in calories. Like, I would even go for start drinking like normal Coke instead of Coke Zero. I mean, personally for me, I find it so easy to gain weight. Like, it's the easiest thing for me because I used to be fat. I was never a skinny kid. I was always overweight. So it's much easier for me to gain weight compared to somebody else who has low appetite, because I can eat all day, every day. So guys, that is the full bulking guide. A basic summary is eat in a small surplus. 200 to 300 above maintenance is fine. Train as hard as you can. Your training doesn't change. If anything, train harder than before. Track your progress weekly and avoid all the mistakes that I mentioned. If you found this helpful, hit the subscribe button. I'm going to be doing more content like this. Probably going to do a cutting guide soon in the future. I'm trying to be more consistent overall with my uploads on this platform, because I enjoy making YouTube videos more. And if you have anything that you want to see, just drop it in the comments and I'd be glad to make videos on it. Catch you in the next one. Bye.